Madeline Miscullen, Jessica Squires, Ellis Walters, Gabriella Agostino, and Megan Potee, your top 16. Gabriella Agostino, the leader from South Bend St. Joe's, coming in.
Chelsea just completing a front 1.5 somersault in the pike position. Decent scores here. She did a nice job showing the dive. She had a tremendous jump and a lot of height. Washed a little bit over on entry.
Total score up to 283.05. Her round 9 score, 27.20. Next up, Whitney Adams.
Now, Whitney's one of the 5 seniors here in our contest today, and our 5 seniors are ranked 1 through 5 going into the final round here. This is a wonderful back dive pike.
From Danville, waiting on the scores for Whitney Adams. Her score coming in, 278.80. Solid score, 35.20. Jumps her up to 314.
And there's an 8 on the board. That's the first 8 we've seen in any dive today. The judging panel at the IHSAA state meet is traditionally very conservative in the morning rounds. They try to interpret the field, discover who's diving heads and tails over other athletes, and they really start to reward the athletes a little more in the later rounds.
Chrissy Riley of Pendleton with a reverse dive, coming in with 291.05, waiting on the score from the 7 judges. Here we see a couple of 7s, a couple of 7.5s. The lowest score is 6.5, giving her a round 9 score of 35.70, taking her to 326.75.
Chrissy's really been performing well here towards the peak season and final of her senior year. She's seeded 3rd going into the finals here. She has enough degree of difficulty and really pretty body lines and board work. She'll be a factor in today's contest.
Franklin's Natalie Grissom. Her round 9 dive, her score 245.25.
It's a front 1.5 pike. She got caught with her chest a little bit forward coming into the end of the board. The dive was out and a little bit fast for her to control, and she washed a little bit over. Long, we call that, if the dive goes past vertical.
Scores reflecting that. 3 judges giving her a score of 5.5. 3 judges with a score of 6.0. Judge 5 with her highest score at 6.5.
Now, to put things in perspective, we noticed the dive wash a little by there and score 5.5s. Earlier this morning, the kid would have to walk on water to score anything above a 5.5 as far as the judging went.
Gail Sussdorf from Fishers with her dive. Her score 260.25 coming in.
Gail's a very...
Couple of 7s, a 7.5, and a couple of 6.0s. 32.80, 293.05 her score.
Certainly one of the most successful underclassmen in the meet. She's a sophomore. She's competed and scored in the top, certainly the top 8, and I think as high as the top 5 last year from the state championship meet. Quite a surprise performance as a freshman, and she's up there again this year as a sophomore.
The junior from Homestead up next. Mariah Kiefer coming in with a score of 255.45 into this round 9 of the competition.
This is a fair back dive pike. Nice jump in pike position. She pressed out and went in a little bit short of vertical. She's been diving very consistent today, very stable 5.5, 6 range, and that's really going to pay off in qualifying her to the state finals here, obviously, and potentially finding a spot in the top 10.
2 scores, scores totaling 28.80. Her total now 284.25. A couple of 6.5s. Her lowest score of 5.0. Next up, Kate Hillman of Shenandoah, just a sophomore.
This is a tremendous back 1.5 half. Let's see if our judging panel is awake this afternoon to reward that effort.
38.85 her score, giving her a total of 308.10. A couple of 6.5s. Her lowest score, 2 judges, 2 and 3, scoring her at 5.5.
I think the 6.5 is a solid score for that dive. She certainly had a very nice body line. Hips came up, and she lined her dive up straight up and down vertical.
A couple of Hamilton Southeastern Royals are up next. Sarah Clay the first, and Sarah is a senior at Hamilton Southeastern off the back dive.
One of our 5 seniors battling this contest out. Now, this back dive was a little bit short of vertical. She pressed her hips out great. Didn't quite look back far enough to bring it completely to vertical. Their scores are very high and competitive on this skill.
Judge 2 and 5, a 7.5 for Sarah Clay. Her total 324.30 after a score of 31.20 in round 9. Next up, Christina Byro, again, her round 9 total, 259.59, a junior at Hamilton Southeastern, a 259.35, we should say, coming into the final round.
A very exciting inward dive pike that should score well up in the 7
Wow.
range with the judges.
Impressive.
It's got a low degree of difficulty. It's hard to catch up to anybody with that particular skill. However, judges' points overall throughout the course of 11 dives, if she stays in the 7 range, she's going to like where she finishes.
A lot of sevens there. 6.5 is 6.0. Other than that, 3 judges with a 7.0 and a couple with a 7.5. Her total 31.50 for that particular round. Gave her a nice bump on the board, if you will. Next up, Jamie Curtis from Fort Wayne. Jamie Curtis from Fort Wayne Northrop coming in with a score of 244.75. And her scores there, mainly 5.5s, all 6 of 7 judges with a 5.5. Her total, 28.05, giving her a total now of 272.80.
Overall, a very nice performance. That was a reverse dive pike, very well rehearsed mechanics. She showed a nice reach on the dive and a good midair pike position. Dive may have carried out a little bit with some distance there away from the diving board, went in a little bit short of vertical.
Madeline Miscullen from Valparaiso is up next. Her score coming into round 9, 269.55. Madeline is a junior at Valparaiso.
Now that was a solid front, full twisting 1.5. Nice straight up and down finish. The judges enjoyed seeing this dive. It was a rather good balanced takeoff. Hips went up pretty high in the start, and she showed a good lineup for the finish.
Pretty consistent scoring, giving her a total of 40.70 for the round, and her total score 310.25 now. Just one judge under 6. Judge 6 giving her a 5.5. Jessica Squires up next from Centerville High School. Her total coming in 274.25.
This is a tremendous jump, a great midair pike position, press out and line up. Her head moved a little bit early on the start. Her head moved back before the arms came alongside the ears. Other than that, this is a very well-performed skill.
43.70. Her total now 317.95. Lowest scores a 5.5 from judges 4 and 6. Still to come, Gabriella Augustino, who was your leader coming in with a score of 300.05. She is the 15th to dive of the 16 here. This is Ellis Walters from North Central High School with a score of 265.65 coming in.
That's one of the nicest front full twisting 1.5s we'll see in the contest today. Not quite as high as it could be, but certainly on balance and a great lineup for entry.
All 6 or 6.5 except for Judge 4, scoring a 5.5, giving her a total for the round of 39.60, bumping her score up to 305.25.
This is our current leader about to perform here. Gabrielle is a tremendous jumper. She trains year-round in the sport of diving. She receives some beneficial training outside of season by world famous Kai Mingzi, who's a Notre Dame University coach, born, bred, and trained in the Chinese diving system.
From South Bend St. Joe's, which gives her plenty of access to the folks at Notre Dame, if you will, when she needs their expertise.
Now, how this particular dive is scored is going to be pivotal in the finish of this meet. This dive was finished over the diving board, but she lost form. She lost her legs. Her legs came apart, loosened the knees, and this could be a loose cannon here going into the last 2 rounds.